And we're back with another Draw 7 TV video. Hello, Matt here with you, and so happy to have you along. On today's tabletop, we've got an expanded match. It's Ancient Friends, or at least what Corey deems his deck to be called Ancient Friends against Yveltal, or Maxies Yveltal, better known as in the expanded format. And we'll see how this matchup goes down. A big shout out to Corey and Andrew for allowing me to film their match and put it up here on the Draw 7 TV page. So thank you to you guys, and thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you like our videos, make sure to hit that thumbs up underneath the video. We always appreciate that, and it helps us out here. And to comment as well, and I do apologize if I don't get to all the comments. I quite busy, so don't have a lot of opportunity to comment back, but do know that I am seeing those things and sincerely appreciate it. We are continuing to shoot more of these videos as we move forward. The production quality will continue to get better as we plan ahead in September, looking to add a lot more content, if not in August. It just really depends on what happens here in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that, and again, we appreciate your support. All right, here's the handshake, and let's do things. Corey wins the roll, and here we go. Gets the Talonflame out with the double colorless on it, and we'll play the Battle Compressor. The Talonflame, not seen in a lot of decks, mainly in Greninja we're seeing Talonflame played. Corey playing it in this deck as well. A few others, you know, you could tech in a few Talonflames there, but doesn't seem to do as great of work unless it can just be the superstar of the deck. Archeops, a Talonflame, and actually a second Talonflame as well goes into the discard off of that Battle Compressor. Corey does play Maxies Hidden Ball Trick, so looking to possibly get out that Archeops, or there's the Gallade as well as he Ultra Balls for another card, which I'm assuming, yep, there's the Marowak there. And he does have the Lysander, and he will computer search, so he gets rid of the Lysander and computer search here. We'll grab Maxies, I'm sure, and there it is. Be interested to see which one he goes with. I would assume he'll go with the Gallade off of the Maxies Hidden Ball Trick, but we shall see. Of course, Andrew over there playing the Yveltal, or Maxies Yveltal, has that Yveltal out, the baby Yveltal with Fright Night. That card seen a ton of play, and sad to see it not as strong as it was. Andrew checking out the Marowak to see what it does. Corey will play the Maxies Hidden Ball Trick, gets out that Gallade, gets it on the bench. Now keep in mind, Talonflame does have free retreat, so it'll be easy for Corey to get that Talonflame out of the active into a Gallade or into an Aerodactyl, which he also plays in this deck. Sets down the Silent Lab, shutting off the Fright Night ability on Andrew's side of the board. Another Battle Compressor. We'll see what he decides to throw away with this here. Looks like a Getsus, a Xerosic, and I believe that's a Karen hiding out in the middle of those two cards, and he will put those into the discard off of the Battle Compressor. Battle Compressor, one of the best cards, if not the best card in the game. Sadly enough, though, only in the expanded format, not in the standard format, and that combination with VS Seeker is just absolutely ridiculous. All right, so it looks like Corey will Premonition here, the Type 5 cards, and will pass turn to Andrew. So, interesting enough, can't see the hands on either player's side, so wish we had the hand cam. Maybe one of these days that can happen. Field Blower there gets rid of the Silent Lab, allowing that Fright Night ability to be active on the baby Yveltal. Does set that energy down as well. And here comes the computer search. Looks like he's getting rid of the Archeops and an Yveltal into the discard there off the computer search. Computer search allowing you to look for any card in your deck and putting it into your hand. I'm not as familiar with Expanded as I am Standard. It's just really a choice of mine. Focusing more on Standard at this point, but it's definitely an interesting archetype. And, of course, our home base is St. Louis, so mainly Expanded games in St. Louis. So definitely have to plan for that in the early months of 2018. We'll definitely decide closer to time what I'll play in the Expanded format. Possibly Primal Groudon. I don't know. It just really depends at the time. So looks like Andrew will play a second Battle Compressor there. Gets rid of an Energy and an Execute. Now the Execute allows you to pull it out of the discard if that's what the ability does. So he can basically use that as fodder for an Ultra Ball or something like that. That way he doesn't have to discard a card he doesn't want to discard. So pretty cool ability. And he does have that gorgeous gold Execute there. So Andrew getting a few things off here on his first turn. Gets the Lysander going there. Brings up the Gallade. Basically not allowing Corey to use that Aero Blitz next turn unless Corey can Float Stone that Gallade back or hard retreat it or something like that. Or at this point, maybe Corey wants that Gallade in the active spot. Shaman down on Andrew's side. Draws up the cards, now playing the Trainer's Mail. We'll see what Andrew decides to grab off the Trainer's Mail. An Ultra Ball there, it looks like. And it looks like he's going to go back in. I'm assuming he'll grab this Execute out of the discard, and yep, that's exactly what he'll do there. We'll put it in his hand. So we could see an Yveltal EX come out here with this Ultra Ball. Wouldn't be surprised a bit, seeing that way he can start getting that set up. But we shall see. Another card going out of the Standard format now is Shaman EX. Such a wonderful card and really did a lot for the format, sped things up, and now Pokemon's like saying, hey, slow down here, we're going to slow the game. And that's exactly what they're doing here in the 2017-2018 format. And I personally really love it. I think that it's changing the game for the better, and it's so cool that now I can really rely on a Stage 2 deck or a Stage 1 deck and actually be decent out there on the field. Corey's turn, gets that DCE down on the Gallade. He will Sycamore away an Aerodactyl and a Colress from his hand, and let's see what else he can play here. I would assume he'll Gallade here the Sensitive Blade. Gets the Muscle Band down. We could see a knockout here on this Yveltal with Fright Knight in the active position. Corey using Premonition. It's interesting, this Gallade seeing some play now with Octillery in the Standard format. I've also been running it in my Gardevoir GX deck, and it's working out pretty well. So it's interesting how Pokemon works. Sometimes cards are played, but then they come out of nowhere and are useful yet again. Corey takes a knockout there on the Yveltal, and Andrew will promote that Shaman EX into the active position, and he'll put a DCE down on the Yveltal EX. Here comes an Ultra Ball getting rid of a Hex Maniac and a Sycamore. Not exactly sure how many Shamans he runs in this deck. I'm assuming 2. Does get the Lele down from hand now. Going also for the Maxies Hidden Ball Trick here. Andrew wasn't able to get the Maxies off turn 1, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything bad, as he's more than likely going to get it off on this turn. I know one of the things the Expanded players talk about a lot is they love when they get the Maxies on turn 1, which if you can do that, if you can pull it off, I mean, it's really cool. Here's a Dark Patch now, getting a Dark Energy down on that Yveltal EX, and just like that, that Yveltal EX is powered up for Y Cyclone for 90 damage. He will Maxies here, grabbing, I would assume, the Gallade, and yep, there's the Gallade, and gets up to 5 more cards in hand to continue his turn. As we move forward in this match, we will continue to put out more content. I actually recorded some matchups with the Noivern GX, Gardevoir GX, a few other things as well, and the videos had a bit of an issue, so I'm in the process of re-recording those and getting some new stuff up on the page in terms of Burning Shadows content. as that set is dropping here very soon, folks. Cannot wait for that. Of course, I was a Mega Mewtwo player for a long time, really when I started playing Pokemon, and now with Gardevoir GX, right up my alley. Grabs the Execute out of the discard, will Ultra Ball yet again, getting rid of an Energy and an Execute, and that Execute is just so strong, allowing him to use it for fodder for Ultra Balls. Obviously not an attacker. Will Ultra Ball grab the Keldeo EX, with the great ability of allowing him to rush in into the active spot, and then if he gets a Float Stone on it, he can Float Stone it out, basically allowing him to control his side of the board, no matter if he gets Lysander or anything like that. We'll rush in and puts the Shaman EX on the bench. And now it's Corey's turn. We'll see what he decides to do here on this turn. We'll Battle Compress again. We'll see what he decides to throw away this time. That Aerodactyl is just staring at us there in the discard. Can't wait to see him get that Jet Draft off. It does 120 and discards a special energy from your opponent's Pokemon. So it looks like an old Amber Aerodactyl, a Talonflame, and a Trainer's Mail there on the Battle Compressor. And then Corey will play Puzzle of Time, 2 Puzzle of Times. And this card, interesting now in the standard format, this could possibly take the place of VS Seekers in certain situations, as if you play 2 from your hand at a time, it does allow you to pull any 2 cards from your discard pile. So with no VS Seekers, as of, for instance, if you use a Guzma or something like that in the standard format, then you're able to pull those back in with the Puzzle of Times. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how people play that. So he grabs, it looks like, a Talonflame and a Computer Search. So Corey will Computer Search away the Aerodactyl and the Talonflame, and we'll see what he decides to grab here. Could see some type of stadium card. Also could see maybe a Fossil Excavation Kit, as he might want to get that Aerodactyl rolling there on the bench. Decides to grab a Battle Compressor, and will Battle Compress some more cards away. So let's look at the board setup now. Andrew has a Gallade, a Tapu Lele, a Shaman, and a powered up Yveltal EX. Now what he needs to do is get that Float Stone there on the Keldeo, so that he can rush in and basically use it as a free retreater for anybody. Alright, so he's going to Super Rod a Talonflame and 2 Aerodactyls back into the deck, and we may see some type of old Amber Aerodactyl here being played from hand to see if he can get one of those Aerodactyls on the board. It's an interesting card, fun card nonetheless. Market League is trying to run it in the standard format, and takes some work, but looks like they're seeing some success with it. So there's the Fossil Excavation Kit. He will more than likely grab an old Amber Aerodactyl here, and he will so indeed, and then he's going to play that. So that allows him to look at the bottom 7 cards for an Aerodactyl. It's kind of funny how it is, because it can be awkward going from the bottom of your deck instead of the top of your deck. Let's see if Corey gets an Aerodactyl here off of that. And he does indeed. You know, it's also funny about how it works is it seems like you get them more times than not. And when you do start rolling those Aerodactyls once a turn, it can be very strong, hitting 120, discarding a special energy from your opponent's Pokemon. And one thing Corey was doing too there with the Battle Compressor is definitely thinning out the deck a lot, so that when he does use those, it's easier for him to get it. Here's another old Amber Aerodactyl. We'll grab the bottom 7 cards again, and let's see if he can get a second one on board. He does not, so does fail that one, but at least he got the one on the board, so it's ready to go. Not sure which Pokemon Corey would consider his main attacker here. I'm assuming Aerodactyl with Gallade as a good backup, but, you know, I'm not exactly sure. VS Seeker grabs the Maxies Hidden Ball Trick, will get that Marowak down, and here comes more cards off of the Maxies. It does prevent all effects of attacks from trainer cards and such, is the ability of Marowak. All right, gets that DCE down on the Aerodactyl. The Aerodactyl does have free retreat, much like that Talonflame. Now the question is here, will he use the Gallade for an attacker here, or bring up an Aerodactyl or something like that? He does Premonition the top 5 cards. Gets them back in an order that he sees pleasing for the next turn. He could also possibly bring up Talonflame here, hitting for 40, and then allowing him to pull 2 cards from his deck, but not sure why he had Premonition if that was the case. So more than likely, we'll just see Gallade attacking here. So there's the Sensitive Blade now for 150, and now it's Andrew's turn on his side of the board. Let's see what he can do. Grabs a VS Seeker, the much-loved VS Seeker, now out of the standard format. So sad, but at the same time, feels pretty good. AZ now, oh, that's a tough one there. Grabbing the Keldeo, taking the damage away, and here comes the Yveltal EX. And it looks like Andrew adding a 4th energy to it, another dark energy, playing down the Reverse Valley, adding 10 damage from Andrew's side of things. Will Premonition here for 5. You'll notice when folks play Gallade or Octillery or the combination, really a lot going on the board, and really have to keep an eye out of what's happening on both sides. So the Yveltal here takes the knockout on the Gallade. Corey will promote the Talonflame. And will now bring up the Aerodactyl, so this works out good for him, allowing him to jet draft and get rid of that DCE. He field blows away the Reverse Valley and will hit for 120, and taking away that DCE from that Yveltal EX. And now we'll see what Andrew has on his side of the board. Fighting Fairy Belt coming down now, adding 40 HP to this Yveltal EX, and hitting for 10 more. So it'd be doing 90 and then 100. If he could get another Reverse Valley, he could be hitting for 110 here, I believe. Getting that 3rd energy down on the Yveltal EX now. And there goes the knockout now on the Aerodactyl. VS Seeker, as Corey promotes the Talonflame. See what he grabs. He will grab the Xerosic, getting rid of that Fighting Fury Belt. And we'll attack for 120, knocking out the Yveltal EX. All right, so now Andrew in an awkward spot here. Let's see what he decides to promote. Could be that Gallade, I would assume, as he could take a knockout here on this Talonflame. Although I believe Talonflame may have a resistance to fighting of a -20, so maybe not wanting to do that. We'll promote the Shaman. Here comes the Trainer's Mail from Andrew now. And Andrew really needing to get an Yveltal EX back on the board and getting that rolling, as Corey now has only 3 prize cards on his side of the board. Here comes a VS Seeker off of the Trainer's Mail. Wouldn't be surprised if Andrew attempts here just to advance his hand, maybe playing a Sycamore or something like that. We could also see maybe another Maxies Hidden Ball Trick. Not sure if he really needs to do that or not. Let's see what he decides to do. Yeah, so it's one of those situations here where he doesn't have an Yveltal EX on the board at all, let alone with an energy or anything like that. So he does have Tapu Lele here as an option to attack with. And one thing I love about Tapu Lele over Shaman, although 2 very different cards, the Tapu Lele does have more HP at 170, and the attack is actually really good for a card that you're mainly using in your deck to pull out supporter cards. So he could possibly attack here with the Tapu Lele. He could also Sky Return here to get that Shaman off the board. Not sure that's the play to make, though. He does play the Battle Compressor. Looks like he put a Gallade another Battle Compressor and a Parallel City into the discard. Maybe just trying to thin the deck out here, and we'll play VS Seeker for Sycamore or something like that. Okay, double colorless down here on Shaman. There's Keldeo, and now here's the VS Seeker. Will he grab the Maxies? I would assume, yeah, there it is. So he's going to grab the Maxies, which will allow him to get a second Gallade out and 5 cards in hand. So yeah, a play that I consider there is just Sky Returning on this for 30 and getting that liability off the board. That looks like what Andrew will decide to do here. Gets the 5 cards in hand now. We'll see if he has anything else he can play. We'll Premonition from the Gallade. You know, 2 Gallades on the board with Premonition. It's always funny to see that. And we'll Premonition the top 5 cards, get it into the back into the deck. Corey's sitting over there with the Marowak on the bench. That Talonflame there with Arrow Blitz, a very viable option this next turn. Here's a Trainer's Mail, grabbing a Muscle Band. Thanks again for joining us here on Jaw 7 TV. As always, we would love to have you subscribe to the channel and also to comment, like the videos, and let us know if you'd like to see more. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my apologies if I do miss some comments. Very busy, haven't been able to really keep the pages updated as I like. That will change hopefully within the next month or so, as we'll be adding more content and I can get some help here. 50 damage now from the Shaman, and it goes directly back into Andrew's hand. He does promote the Gallade. Here's an old Amber Aerodactyl, grabbing the 7 cards in his deck, knowing that there is an Aerodactyl there. So Corey now only having, I believe, 6 cards in deck, so that could mean something as we move forward here in the game. Sure, Corey has a plan, though, to get cards back in there. Uses the Fossil Excavation Kit, grabbing, it looks like, Old Amber Aerodactyl, and yeah, he has another one there, so we'll play that down. Corey's hand is pretty sizable, though, as well. Has plenty of cards there to keep him going for at least a few more turns as we move forward. Double puzzle there, grabbing what I would assume would be a Muscle Band, maybe a double colorless as well, if there is one in the discard. Not sure if there is or not. I believe I just saw one, yeah. Aerodactyl not seeing a lot of play. I know that at one point on the professional Pokemon streams, there was an Aerodactyl deck that was played that was very, very cool, and didn't do too bad either. So glad to see that card seeing some play as the fossils. It's tough to do anything with them right now in the current state of the game. So yeah, there's that Muscle Band and that DC getting that Aerodactyl ready to go. Here's a VS Seeker now. And we'll see what Corey decides to grab. I'm assuming an N here because he needs to get more cards. Yeah, there's the N on the top of the deck. We'll play the N. That'll get his hand back, so allowing his deck to get back to a sizable manner. That way he can continue to move forward. So both players will shuffle their hands into their decks and will draw according to how many prize cards they have. Corey will grab 3. And Andrew will grab 4. So Corey does get another DCE in hand. At least that's what I noticed as much. We'll hit for, let's see, 130, I believe, here. 140, excuse me. And here we go. So at this point, this could really be just a back and forth knockout fest. The thing that Corey has the advantage here on right now is that Andrew does have EX cards on the board and a GX card, so Corey can take the prize advantage here as he doesn't have any of those on his board at all. So Andrew will have to work a little extra hard here to get these knockouts, make them count at the right time. Also, something of note, Andrew's not been able to use that Keldeo in the way that he liked, had to AZ it earlier in the game, which was a great play because it got rid of that damage and saved 2 prize cards, because Corey now would only have 1 prize card left if he wasn't able to AZ that Keldeo up earlier. Looks like he does have another Yveltal EX in hand, so that's nice. I'm assuming we'll attach here, possibly allowing this Gallade to faint. Not sure. He also has that Shaman in hand from that Sky Return last turn as well, so a way to get more cards in hand. Not sure if he wants to do that with that little 110 HP. Grabs the Execute from the discard, and this, I believe, is the 3rd time he's used that, so this card definitely handy there. Gets rid of another Pokemon. Not sure if that was Darkrai, possibly EX. Could have been another Yveltal. So we'll Ultra Ball here. Not sure if he decided... Okay, so I believe he was just using it to check out his deck and see, okay, what do I have left? What can I do here in the next few turns? Things like that. Just getting some ideas there. Does decide to bench that Shaman. So there we go. There's 1, 2, 3 cards now off the Shaman. There's 4 and 5. I would imagine him being able to get a DCE down here. Gets that Floatstone on Keldeo, so that's going to help later game. You know, something else he could do here is attach a DCE to this Gallade and hit this Aerodactyl. The Aerodactyl only has a 120 HP on it. So that might be a play here as well, knowing that that Gallade's probably going to go down this next turn. Gets us, and there goes the Floatstone back into the deck off the Gets us. Revealing Corey's hand, Maxies, and another DCE. Here's a Dark Patch. I'm assuming Andrew's playing 4 of those in this deck. Dark Patch is absolutely a crazy card, especially in the expanded format. And, well, Keldeo in there and then retreat. That's what happened there. Gets the DCE on the Yveltal. Well, Premonition as well. So Andrew doing what he wants to do right now, getting that Keldeo with the Floatstone, getting that Gallade out of the active, and we'll take the knockout here with this Yveltal, and Corey promotes the next Aerodactyl. So now 3 prizes left for Andrew. So this is a pretty close game, guys. Here's a Trainer's Mail. Special charge. Corey now checking his discard to see how many DCEs he's ran through. He does have 2 on the board. And, yeah, there we go. Special charge there. Grabbing at least 1 from the discard. I believe he had another one in there, though. Yeah, so that giving him a much, much better chance moving forward here to get another DCE out on the board and another Aerodactyl. Anyway you cut it, though, this is an interesting expanded matchup, and a reason I wanted it on the stream, as we see Corey's Ancient Friends deck is very interesting, and yeah, definitely stands up, or is standing up to this Maxies Yveltal. Gets another Gallade off of that Maxies Hidden Ball Trick, draws 5 cards. I believe I see a Parallel City in hand, a Floatstone as well. And I'm assuming he has another DCE in hand as well off of that special charge. All right, so hitting the Jet Draft now off the Aerodactyl. So it's hitting, and it'll also get rid of that DCE on the Yveltal EX, which can be very annoying for Andrew, as that is, I believe, the 2nd DCE we've seen go off of a Jet Draft, maybe the 3rd one, doing 120 damage. So he's going to rush in, puts that Yveltal EX back onto the bench. Dark Patches back onto the Yveltal. There we go. Dark Patch coming in clutch there. And we see just how important that Keldeo EX really is, allowing plays like that to happen. And I think that's one thing Aqua Patch is missing right now in the standard format. I believe the card's very, very good, but not really seeing its full potential right now. Here's a VS Seeker now on Andrew's side of the board. You know, it's interesting. He could put a DCE down here on a Glade. We'll grab the AZ. AZing up the Shaman, a play I always loved to make when AZ was legal, and then just setting that Shaman back down to draw some more cards. 1, 2, 3, I believe. 2 or 3 cards there off the Shaman, and here we go. Another dark patch going to the Yveltal EX, and just like that, he's got that Yveltal power back up, not even attaching for turn. So will Andrew attach for turn here? He does not. We'll just take this knockout here. And Andrew down now to 2 prize cards. And Corey, not necessarily in dire straits yet. He will more than likely have opportunities to get out another Aerodactyl on this turn. Plays Zerosic, gets rid of that Floatstone on the Keldeo on the bench. And here comes the Glade up now, taking the knockout on the Yveltal, gaining 2 prize cards. And that's, like I mentioned earlier, folks, that could be the difference in this matchup, since Corey is taking more prizes off of these knockouts than Andrew is. All right, so Andrew promoting now the Glade with no damage on it. As you can see, Andrew's deck's getting down. Looks like he's only got about 3 or 4 cards left to hit it. So both players running out of resources here late game. We've been talking about doing a podcast. If you're interested in a Draw 7 TV podcast, let us know in the comments below. We're really thinking about doing that. Would love to hear if you'd like to have a Draw 7 TV podcast. Please give us a heads up. Let us know. Or if any other content you'd like to see from us, let us know that as well. So it is Battle Compress here, and now only 2 cards left in the deck, and Corey shuffles the 2 cards, and we'll play an in here. So Andrew gets that DCE down and then does play that in, so that will extend the game at least a little bit longer in terms of not decking out. That helps Corey on his side as well, so now only drawing 1 card. But he does have that Talonflame, which allows him to draw, or get 2 cards, rather, so yeah, could be interesting. Muscle Band, I really want to say Muscle Dumbbells, but Muscle Band there on the Glade. And we'll take a knockout here, and there is game. And guys, what a fantastic matchup this was. Very interesting matchup, and man, so much fun. A big shout out to these guys for allowing us to record them. And yeah, until next time, friends, enjoy the videos. We're Draw 7 TV.